Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Vegas Insider YouTube channel, the Daily Insider. I'm Thom Cunningham, and filling in for the one and only Kevin Rogers, dealing with a family issue today at home. So I am here for the second straight day in a row, going solo. And again, we are thinking probably going to start a 6 p.m. Daily Insider beginning next week sometime, hopefully next week sometime. That way we can bring you some trends and odds and best bets to consider a little before the game. As you know, a lot of games, sometimes the odds change and the money line changes due to lineups and whatnot. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes next week. So you don't want to miss that. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page and register to become a Vegas Insider member. And it's totally free to do both, but you can win free picks for the week. So, yeah, you can win free picks for the week. And to do that, you have to be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. And you also have to be a subscriber to our website. So let's see, you click on register here, and it will take you to this page. And it's, again, totally free, but you can register to become a member of VegasInsider.com. Then head over to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and leave your best bet of the day. It can be anything. It can be a point total. It can be a straight up winner. It can be a player prop. No futures market bets for obvious reasons. But leave your best bet of the day. And if it hits, we will put it in a quote unquote raffle and go from there and pick a winner. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if you guys can get your picks right. Or not. And again, I don't want anyone to feel like they're limited in their picks. So if you feel like you want to take a heavy favorite, go for it. But keep in mind, if the heavy favorite hits and another bet hits from some other member, we're probably going to take that person's bet because, you know, it's just more difficult to hit a minus 150 or a plus 250 rather than a minus 1,000. So just bear that in mind. If you want to take your chances, go for it. But we will... You know, we're going to lean away from heavy favorites when we pick a winner for best bets. So good luck there. I know someone picked the Pirates yesterday, and they ended up winning that game. So, yeah, you know, I would just look, you know, in that direction instead of, you know, going heavy favorites. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to bet. That's on you. But we can tell you, you know, some trends and some odds to look for in today's game. So let's do that. And I guess we'll start with baseball because that's the first sport to start today. There's a couple early games. I know Cleveland plays somewhat early today. Yeah, you see Miami, Milwaukee. They have a 1:40 game. Yeah, there you go. Minnesota, Cleveland. They're at 1:10 Eastern Standard Time. So I guess we'll get into baseball first. Let's do it. Let's start with, we'll go to the top of the list here. We got Miami and Milwaukee. Sandy Alcantara is going to be starting for Miami, and Milwaukee will throw Zach Godley on the mound. Miami is going to be entering as the favorite for this game, minus 110, as you can see right here. And, I mean, you know, I like Miami. I think they're going to win over 71.5 games this year. And looking at the trend, Milwaukee, they have lost 8 straight games when facing the National League after winning at home the game prior. So there's a trend there that would side with the Marlins. However, Milwaukee has won 4 of its last 5 games when facing Miami. Milwaukee is the better team. They have the better roster in general. The pitching matchup is about even when you consider Alcantara and Godley. You're kind of splitting hairs between the two. The run total has gone over in 3 of the last 4 games played between Miami and Milwaukee. So I think looking at the run total possibly going over, might want to consider. Now, I just told you that the Brewers have a trend that works against them, but they have won 4 of their last 5 games against the Marlins. But Miami, they cover the run line pretty well against Milwaukee. Miami has covered the 1.5 run line in 3 straight games against the Brewers. If you recall, they lost yesterday's game 5-4, so they covered the 1.5 there. And Miami, they've covered the run line in 4 of its last 5 games when facing the Brewers, so I think Miami plus 1.5 would be doable, but they're the favorites in this game. So I don't know. I think maybe the run total going over 8 might be feasible, but this is a tough game to consider wagering on. Of the two, I like Milwaukee. They're the underdog, so maybe consider them. But this is much more difficult matchup to consider than what it might appear to be on paper. We'll get to the other 1 o'clock game in a minute. Let's just go in pecking order here. We got the Cincinnati Reds. They're looking pretty good against the Dodgers. They won 2 nights ago in extra innings. They won again last night against the Dodgers. They've now taken 3 of their last 4 games against Los Angeles, and Cincinnati has covered the run line in those 3 games in which they have won. The run total has gone over in 3 straight games played between the Reds and the Dodgers, which, what are we looking at right now? 7.5 with Sonny Gray and Clayton Kershaw. I think that could go over if you want to consider the run total going over. Definitely don't want to argue that. Again, it's gone over in 3 straight games. The last 2 games, the run line was 7 and 7.5. And again, Cincinnati has good bats. They are one of the better hitting teams in baseball. We don't need to go in depth on why the Dodgers can hit. I think anyone who follows the sport knows how good Los Angeles is hitting the baseball. I kind of like the over there. It's hitting 3 straight. May want to consider that. Looking at some of the trends here, Los Angeles, they have won 9 straight games when facing the National League on a Wednesday. So they have that going for them. However, Cincinnati, they have led after 3 innings in 3 of their last 4 games when facing the NL West as an underdog. So there is a hedge possibility there where you could maybe take the Dodgers to win, but take Cincinnati to win the first 3 innings at plus value. So you can consider that if you like, but I think the run total going over might be one to consider here. Cincinnati winning 3 of 4 against LA. It's tough to take the Dodgers with those trends, especially at minus 200. So we'll see. But that's a 4 o'clock game as well. That's somewhat early, 1 o'clock if you're living in California. Moving on, we got the Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. I think Atlanta destroyed Chicago in their last game, which was last night. And Atlanta, they're starting to turn things around a little bit. They're real inconsistent so far this season. I mean, really, both teams have been inconsistent between the Cubs and the Braves. Now, looking at some recent trends here, Atlanta, they've won 3 in a row against Chicago. They won 5-0. I knew they shut out Chicago. I just wasn't sure how many runs they scored. So I guess it wasn't a complete demolition of Atlanta on Chicago last night, but 5-0 is still a pretty good win. The run total has gone over in 3 of the last 4 games played between these two teams. The run total going under last night, obviously, as Chicago did not score a run. However, I do like the run total going over in this game. You have 2 pitchers who are a bit inconsistent. I mean, they are good pitchers in Hendricks and Yona, but they are a bit inconsistent playing in a hitter-friendly ballpark. I think there's a lot to like about the over, which has hit in 3 of the last 4 games played between these two teams. Atlanta, they've won 3 in a row against the Cubs. They've won 4 of their last 5 against the Cubs. And the Cubs have lost 6 straight games against the Braves when playing at night after losing the game prior. So there's a couple trends to side with Atlanta winning. Chicago, they've lost the first inning in 4 straight night games played on a Wednesday. So there are some trends at Atlanta. They get off to an early lead. Atlanta to win the first inning is plus 230. So you get some plus value there, but you'd really got to bank on the top of the Braves lineup, Acuna, Freeman, and whatnot, really getting to Hendricks early, which is not easy to do. Kyle Hendricks is a pretty good pitcher. The Braves have led after 3 innings in 3 straight games when facing the Cubs on a Wednesday. So there's a lot of different trends here that are pointing towards Atlanta possibly winning this game and leading early in this game as well in the first and third innings. However, I think over 8.5 is a good play considering the run total has gone over in 3 of 4. Yeah, I think that's enough for that game. Let's move on. We got the Phillies and the Cardinals. So the Cardinals beat the Phillies last night, and the trend entering last night's game between these two teams was that they don't win back-to-back against each other. So if the Phillies beat the Cardinals, then the Cardinals typically win the next game. If the Cardinals beat the Phillies typically win the next game. The history between these two teams recently has been if you win, you're going to lose the next one. It's very rare recently that these two teams win back-to-back against each other. And so looking at the trend entering this game is actually favoring Philadelphia somewhat, who is the favorite right now. I'm looking right here, they are even, minus 105 on the site here, but looking at DraftKings, the Phillies are now up to minus 110 as the favorite. The Cardinals have lost 8 straight games against the Phillies after winning the game prior. So it also seems with that trend that St. Louis not only can't win back-to-back games when they face the Phillies in consecutive days, they can't win back-to-back games against the Phillies if they face a different opponent the game prior. There just seems to be an issue with back-to-back wins for St. Louis when facing the Phillies. And considering St. Louis won yesterday, you would see that trend and go, okay, Philly is going to win this game. But keep in mind, the run total has actually gone under in 3 straight games, so there's a little bit more conviction in the run total market going under rather than a winner here. I think St. Louis is the better team on paper. Look at the pitching matchup, though, and I got to give the slight edge to Philadelphia. Now, keep in mind that Velasquez kind of falls apart around the 4th and 5th inning. So just bear that in mind. But the run total, again, has gone under in 3 straight games. You're looking at a run total of 8.5 here. Might want to consider that. Keep in mind the last 3 games that have gone under the run total for St. Louis and Philadelphia, the line has been 8.5, 8, and 8. So very similar, very parallel to what you're getting in this night game between the two teams. Moving on to the NL West, we've got the San Diego Padres, Ryan Weathers. He's going to take the mound, the lefty, taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, yesterday, I mentioned that Arizona had won 10 straight home games against the Padres. And it was hard to take Arizona knowing that because San Diego is the better team. But guess what? Arizona won. They won 5-1 yesterday. So the trend has now increased to Arizona winning 11 straight games at home when facing San Diego. So bear that in mind. The Padres don't have, an ace going on them. They don't have Snell going, they don't have Paddock going. And they're playing a team that has a ton of conviction at home against their opponent. So, it's tough for me to say take San Diego tonight. I know yesterday I was kind of banking on them to win, although the trend said Arizona, they win at home against the Padres, so be careful. It's still tough for me to take Arizona in this spot. San Diego to me is just the better team. And when you see a team with 11 straight wins for whatever reason, you would think they're due to lose a game. I mean, Oakland's a good example. They've won 13. They won 13 in a row at one point this year, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, they should win 14. They lost because they were due. And to that, Oakland, would they lose 6, 7, or 8 games to start the season? So you're thinking to yourself, well, they're due to win a bunch of games in a row, and sure enough, they did. So just keep that in mind. Trends can really help or hurt you in that regard. It's really, trends just magnify your thought already. So if your thought is Arizona should take 12 in a row at home, there you go. But if your thought is the Padres are due to win and due to snap that 11-game home win streak for Arizona, then you go in that direction. So you got to be careful with trends. Just keep that in mind. Let's see if we can find anything else surrounding this game, though, that doesn't revolve around Arizona winning at home. Let's see what we got here. The run total has gone under in 4 straight games played between both teams. Looking at the line, that is 9 right now. And again, it's gone under in 4 straight games, but you see the pitchers on the mound, and I might argue to go against that trend. That these teams are due for an offensive battle. And keep in mind, Chase Field is a hitter-friendly park, so you might want to consider going against the grain there. But this is a very, very difficult game, in my opinion, to wager on. You look at the Padres' run line this year, however, they've gone under in 17 games this season. Of the 25 games they've played, that's impressive. So in terms of being consistent with a trend, that's impressive. So I might want to go under here. I know the pitchers, they don't really catch your eye between Weathers and Widener. But that's a high run total at 9. They've gone under in 4 straight. And San Diego is ranked 27th out of 30 teams in terms of going over the run total. So they're actually ranked 3rd in MLB in terms of going under the run total. So just bear that in mind with that game. Sticking in the same division, we're going to go to the Colorado Rockies versus San Francisco Giants game. Colorado won in extra innings last night. A huge, great win for Colorado. It's about time they won on the road. I think they had lost 8 road games in a row entering that game against the San Francisco Giants. Then they break that trend. Again, going back to what I just discussed, you see Colorado, they've lost 8 straight road games. One might think, well, they're due to win, and sure enough, they did in extra innings. Here's a trend entering this game. Colorado, they've lost 13 straight road games after going into extra innings the game prior. So there's some signs there pointing towards San Francisco winning this game. San Francisco has won 4 of its last 5 games when facing Colorado. San Francisco has also covered the run line in 3 of its last 5 games when facing Colorado as the favorite. I think, yesterday I said I like San Francisco. I don't think an extra innings win by Colorado is going to change my conviction in the Giants. I still think they're one of the more underrated teams this year. I think they're the better team playing at home. Let's take a quick look at the pitching matchup. Ooh, should be a good one, though. Marquez and Alex Wood. You can see that run total is set at 7. The run total has actually gone over in the last 2 games played between these two teams, but it did go under in the 3 games prior. So it's tricky. I think I would lean with the run total going over here, but I think the best bet is still with the San Francisco Giants. They're just the better team. Now, Marquez is a good pitcher, and Alex Wood's going to have to bring it, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Giants and play the trend that says the Rockies have lost 13 straight road games after going into extra innings the game prior. All right, so we have a 1 o'clock game that will first pitch will commence in about an hour. So let's get through that right now. We've got the Minnesota Twins, struggling Twins. They take on the Cleveland Indians. J.A. Happ will take the mound for Minnesota, and Logan Allen will take the mound for Cleveland. Looking at some of the trends for this game, Cleveland has won 8 straight divisional home games after winning at home the game prior. They are plus 104 on DraftKings. I'm looking at the site right now, and I see that Cleveland's plus 100. So you can get Cleveland at home for plus value. They're coming off a win against a team, Minnesota, who is struggling this year. Minnesota, they've lost the first inning in 4 of their last 6 divisional road games when playing on a Wednesday as the favorite. So there's a trend there that Cleveland gets on them early. Minnesota has trailed after 3 innings in 3 of their last 4 games when playing as the favorite. Some more trends there, Cleveland getting up on them early. There's some prop betting, though. Byron Buxton to go yard is plus 450. He has hit a home run in 3 of 4 games when facing Cleveland. You also have Jose Ramirez at plus 370 to hit a home run. He has hit a home run in 5 of 6 games when facing the Twins. So some good markets there to explore in this game. The run total has gone over in 4 straight games played between both teams. So, J.A. Happ's on the mound, Logan Allen's on the mound. I think going over 9 is fine. I think if you take any of those 2 players, Byron Buxton or Jose Ramirez to go yard, that's fine too. Just make sure you check the lineup, make sure they're playing. And, I think there's some things to like about Cleveland in this game as an underdog for plus value, so maybe consider them. Let's move on now. We have AL East matchup, the New York Yankees taking on the Baltimore Orioles. You got Domingo Germain going on the mound for New York and Dean Kramer going on the mound for Baltimore. New York, they've won 15 of their last 16 games when facing Baltimore after winning on the road the game prior. New York just won on the road in Baltimore last night. They won that game by the final score of 5-1. And this was my best bet for this game last night, and that was go under the run total of 10. Because these two teams, they go under when they face each other more times than not, which is a bit of a surprise because both venues are hitter-friendly ballparks. Camden Yards and Yankee Stadium are very much hitter-friendly parks. The bats for these teams are really electric. Obviously, New York, we don't need to go into depth why they're a powerhouse hitting team. Although they've struggled this year, the lineup on paper, no pitcher wants to face. And then Baltimore's bats are really, really good too. But the run total has gone under in 3 straight games played between these two teams, along in 4 of its last 5 games. So you see that, and it's tough not to go under 9.5 here. But again, 3 in a row, it just seems like these bats are too good. I'm not sure I would stick to that trend. Again, I liked the play yesterday. I'm not too sure I would go with the run total here for New York, Baltimore. Looking at the money line, New York at minus 150, that's not overly expensive, but, when you're getting New York for minus 150 against Baltimore, you should really consider that. I know New York, they've really struggled this year. They're 10-13 overall, which is the same exact record as Baltimore, as a matter of fact. But it's of the two, I think New York makes more sense. But the more I'm looking at these trends for the run total, New York, they've gone under 15 times this year. So it's not just against Baltimore. they've gone under 15, 26 games this season, and Baltimore, they failed to go over in 14 of 26 games this year. So the more I look at it, you might want to go under 9.5. I know that's hard to believe, but that's what the trends are saying. So, yeah, I don't know. I might go under there. Let's move on, though. Oakland, Tampa Bay. Oakland is the road underdog in this game. I believe Tampa Bay took it from them yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Now they got Tyler Glasnow on the mound, who is their best pitcher. I think a lot of people would easily say, especially with Blake Snell now gone. Let's take a look at some trends. Oakland, they've won 11 straight games when playing on a Wednesday. But again, you've got Cole Irvin taking on Tyler Glasnow. I think the pitching edge goes to Tampa Bay in this game. But the trend tells you Oakland, they've won 11 straight games playing on a Wednesday. However, Tampa Bay, they've won 3 of their last 4 games when facing Oakland. And the run total has gone under in 3 straight games played between these two teams, along with going under in 4 of its last 5 games when these two teams match up. 7.5 is a bit low, but again, the run total going under seems to have hit more times than not. As a matter of fact, the 7.5 that is actually given for tonight's game would have gone under in the last 3 games played between these two teams regardless. You had 8.5, 8.5, and 7 for the last 3 games, what the run line was. And it's gone under in all 3 games. You had 7, 3, and 6 in the last 3 meetings between these two teams. All 3 of those games would have cleared under the 7.5 given total for tonight's game. So feel free to go under. You got Glasnow on the mound. He's capable of striking out 8 to 10 guys a game. Cole Irvin's going to be the factor here if this run total goes over, under, or not. I think if Tampa Bay can get to him early in this game, it'll probably go over. But the trends are telling you to go under here, so maybe consider that. Oakland, they've lost 2 of their last 3. I know they've won 11 in a row on a Wednesday, but they've lost 2 of 3 games, one of which was to Baltimore. But Tampa Bay, they haven't been doing much better either. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games. So they're really going to try to pick it up here. I like the under. That's just me. Anyway, moving on. What we got? AL West. Here we go. The Los Angeles Angels and the Texas Rangers. Texas, I'll tell you what, as underdogs, they do pretty well. They beat Anaheim, I guess Los Angeles. They beat them last night. Texas has won 3 of the last 5 games when facing the Angels, and now the Angels come into this game losing 8 straight as a favorite when playing on a Wednesday. So there are some things to like about Texas here. The Angels have trailed after 3 innings in 3 of their last 4 road games when playing as a favorite. Anaheim, the Angel, I keep calling it Anaheim, I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Angels, they have lost the first inning in 3 of their last 4 games when playing as a favorite on the road. So there's some signs to possibly take Texas here. One thing about Texas is that they have seen the run total go under in 5 of 6 games when playing at home. So there's a lot to digest in this game. Of the last 5 meetings between Texas and Los Angeles, neither team has won back-to-back games. Texas won the last game. That should tell you Los Angeles should win this game. So if we are to condense all the trends I just rattled off for this game, basically the picture being painted would see Texas take an early lead only for the Angels to come back and win the game. So if you like that thought process, maybe live bet the game when the Angels are down. Other than the run total going under in 5 of 6 home games for the Rangers, there's not much consistency in the betting trends here. So go with your heart in this one. But I do think that the Angels should win this game, despite the trend saying they're not going to win. And if they do win, it will be in a comeback fashion. So maybe you just kind of keep an eye on this game, maybe not pre-game bet it. Instead, see how the first or second inning goes and then go from there. Because if the trends hold true in terms of Anaheim struggling in the first, second, and third innings when they are road favorites, then you'll know if Texas takes an early lead, if you feel like live betting the Angels for plus value or just leaving the game alone in general. Because sometimes the best bet to make is the one that you don't make. Moving on, we have Seattle-Houston. We got Justin Dunn taking on Zach Greinke. That should be a fun game. Seattle, though, they're kind of falling a little bit back down to earth lately. Houston got Altuve back. They're starting to hit again. I know they kind of went cold there, especially on offense for a little bit, for about a 7 or 8 game stretch. They seem to be right back in the thick of things now. Looking at some of the trends, the Mariners, they've lost 12 straight games when facing the Astros at night after losing on the road the game prior. When you look at some head-to-head trends, Houston, they've won 3 of their last 4 games when facing Seattle. The best bet we liked yesterday, and a large reason why we liked it, was because Marco Gonzalez was on the mound for Seattle. We loved the run total going under. And sure enough, it hit. Houston won 2-0. And I think going under again might be the play here. These two teams have failed to go over the run total in 4 straight meetings. It's gone under 8.5. It's gone under 9. It pushed at 9, and then it went under at 8.5. And looking at tonight's game, you have an 8.5 OU, and you have Zach Greinke on the mound for Houston, who's a really, really, really good pitcher. In case you didn't know, he won a Cy Young. So I don't know. It might go under here. I think Houston does get the job done. They're insanely expensive though. So I think you either take the run total going under or you just don't bet this game, because I can see Seattle upsetting Houston in this game. I'm not going to bet on it, but I could see it. But the run total going under, or I should say failing to go over, has been the most consistent trend between these two teams as of lately. We have the Detroit Tigers, who are coming off a pretty big win against the Chicago White Sox. Now they've got their young Cy Young candidate. He's not going to win the Cy Young, but he's good enough to. Casey Mize. He's going to be taking on Carlos Rodon, who's so up and down. He's the Gemini of pitching. I mean, when he is on, you can't hit him. When he's off, all you can do is hit him. So we'll see which Carlos Rodon shows up tonight against Detroit. But I know yesterday I was pretty high on Chicago. They didn't win. It's going to take a lot for me to ride with Detroit. Is this a time to ride with them when they've got one of their best pitchers, if not their best pitcher, on the mound? They've got a little bit of momentum coming off of a win. Do you take the Detroit Tigers here? Let's look at some trends, see if we can make a decision. Detroit, they've lost, well, probably not. They've lost 7 straight divisional road games when playing on a Wednesday. The White Sox have led after 3 innings in 4 straight divisional games. The White Sox have won the first inning in 3 of their last 4 games when facing Detroit on a Wednesday. So there's, it's tough for me to back Detroit even though they have their best pitcher on the mound. Chicago's won 4 of the last 5 games against Detroit. I think there's just too much talent for Chicago now. Chicago did put Luis Robert on the DL, or the IR, whatever the heck they're calling it now, last night or this morning. So, again, Chicago is down another player. They're dealing with a rotating lineup and injuries as well. So, yeah, I mean, look, Chicago is the better team. They're the better talent. But if you like Detroit because of the arm on the mound, the fact that they just took a game from Chicago, and the fact that Chicago is dealing with injuries, and the fact Carlos Rodon is so up, he's a roller coaster of a pitcher, I'm not going to argue Detroit. I'm not taking him. But if you like Detroit, I'm not arguing it. The run total has gone under in 3 of the last 4 games played between both teams, so you can keep that in mind as well. Kansas City, Pittsburgh. We liked Pittsburgh yesterday. They ended up winning because the home team has won, I think it's 11 or 12 straight games played between both teams. And Pittsburgh barely escaped. They got up early 1-0 on Kansas City, and then they ended up letting Kansas City tie the game at 1-1, and then Pittsburgh was able to take a 2-1 lead and hold that lead. These are 2, I mentioned this yesterday, these are 2 of the most surprisingly competitive teams in all of baseball this season. You look at Kansas City, they're 14-8. I don't think anyone would have guessed that they'd have 14 wins at this point of the season. And then you have Pittsburgh, who is 1 game above 500. A lot of experts pick Pittsburgh as the worst team in baseball this year. They're 1 game above 500 at 12-11. So these are two teams nobody gave a chance to start the season. And not only are they competing, they're winning games. So watch out for both of these teams moving forward. But we got to talk about this game right now. The home team's won 9 straight games played between the Royals and the Pirates. So that would tell you to possibly go with Mitch Keller and Pittsburgh at plus 107. Now, Mike Minor is the better pitcher, but Mitch Keller can more than capable of holding his own against Mike Minor on the mound, especially at home. So I wouldn't look too much into the pitching matchup in this game. The run total has gone under in 10 of the last 11 road games for Kansas City. The run total went under 8 in their game yesterday, in which Pittsburgh won 2-1. So maybe you look into that direction. 10 of 11 road games going under for Kansas City. That's a pretty large sample size. And you've got 2 pitchers capable pitching a really good game. I'm not sure if I would take the run total going under, mainly because Minor and Keller are capable of getting crushed. As they're a bit unpredictable. You don't know which pitchers are going to come out here in terms of Minor and Keller. They could come out and give up 4 and 3. They could also come out here and give up a run in 6. So it's really difficult to tell. But the 7.5 is a bit low to go under with these teams. I'm just not too sure about that. You're talking, I mean, Kansas City, they beat Pittsburgh. You know, they put up 11 runs on Pittsburgh in the past. So it's a bit difficult with the run total. I think maybe just going with the home team plus value. Home teams won 9 in a row between the two teams. Maybe go in that direction. But if you like the run total going under, feel free to take it. 10 of 11 is a large sample size, so I'm just not going to take it. Boston versus New York. Took Boston last night as an underdog. They ended up winning. Do you do the same again tonight? I think maybe. Now, DeGrom is pitching, and it's very early in the season, but he seems to be a clear choice right now for the NL Cy Young winner. He has just been marvelous. I don't think this is a correct stat. It's something close, though, where he struck out like 50 batters of the 100 he's faced already. It's just something insane. But the trend with DeGrom is he gets no help from his lineup when he pitches. Is that the case again tonight? Nick Pivetta is not necessarily this lights-out pitcher. I know Garrett Richards had a really good game last night, but we thought he would. You know, this is a guy who did well in Los Angeles. It's just injuries had really hurt Garrett Richards in his career. But when he's healthy, he's dominant. And he showed how dominant he can be last night against New York. I'm not going to sit here and say the same thing for Pivetta. He's not Garrett Richards in my mind. I think he's a downgrade compared to Garrett Richards. That's just my own opinion. I could be wrong. But the minus 260 for New York, that's far too expensive for any baseball game. DeGrom historically does not get help from his bats when he's on the mound. So I don't know. The run total has gone under in 4 or 5 games played between both teams. You might want to go under with DeGrom on the mound. He's probably not going to. I'd be shocked if the Mets gave up over 4 runs, as good as Boston's bats are. But 7 is a bit worrisome. I know the trend tells you it's going to go under. DeGrom's on the mound, so you're thinking under. But I could easily see a 5-4 game, you know? So just be careful with that. 4-3 is considered low scoring to some, and that would be, you know. So anyway, let's see here. We got some more trends. Boston, they've won 3 in a row against the Mets. They've also covered the run line as the underdog in 3 straight games. So maybe you take the plus 1.5 for Boston if you're feeling the Red Sox. But I think plus 220 for a team that has beaten New York 3 straight times. The Red Sox have won 7 of 8 games as an underdog after winning the game prior. I think there's a lot to like about Boston tonight, as I did last night. Now, I know it's a lot to go against DeGrom, but you got to take risks. So we'll see what happens there. And then finally, we have the Natties, the Washington Natties. They are going to be taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Shout out Vlad Jr., Montreal's finest export. He went for 3 home runs last night, one of which was a grand slam, and finished with 7 ribbies. So watch out. Look, I sat here yesterday and I talked about how Max Scherzer, he's a great pitcher, but the issue with Scherzer is he challenges literally every batter he faces with power pitches. He tries to strike everyone out. Darvish did something very similar to that in Texas, where he would just try to strike every batter he faced out with power pitching. And that, you know, if you're good, you're good. But the issue with that strategy is sometimes you get got and you give up a lot of home runs. Maybe they're solo shots, so the damage is limited, but you give up home runs. And I like the over yesterday, even though Scherzer was on the mound. We talked about Toronto's young, hungry bats. I mean, there is a youthful, energetic lineup that they have, and it went over. I mean, Vlad Jr. went over himself. He had 7 RBIs in the game. So I think maybe you look towards the run total possibly going over again between these two teams, especially who's on the mound. I think Steven Matz is the better pitcher of the two, so I understand why Toronto is now favored at minus 165. Steven Matz has actually pitched what the Mets wanted from Steven Matz is what he's doing now in Toronto. It's funny how that works out sometimes. Again, it's a long season. We'll see if Matz kind of dips down back to what he did in New York, where he was inconsistent, but he's pitching really well for Toronto right now. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give Toronto the benefit of the doubt. However, the underdog has won 9 of the last 10 games played between these two teams, the underdog being Washington. So for plus 150, look in that direction. The run total has gone over in 2 straight games between these two teams, 9.5 and 8.5. You look at this game at 9.5 for the OU. No, that could go in either direction, I think. But you look at Washington; they've gone under in 13 games this season. Toronto, they've gone under in 15 games this season. And again, we liked the over yesterday. I think you stay away from the run total in this game. I think you go Washington here. The underdogs won 9 of 10 between these two teams. Toronto's coming off an insane high yesterday off of Vlad's 3 home runs and just a great performance on the offense from Toronto. So I think I'd give Washington the benefit of the doubt. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games at the professional level. I think they're due now to maybe get a game off of Toronto here. And again, the underdogs won 9 of 10 between the two teams. So I'll take that trend for plus 150, even though I think Mott's is the better pitcher. I'm not taking minus 165. So of the two teams, I'll go Washington there. Let's move on. But before we do, just want to give a quick reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave your best bet in the comments section on the YouTube channel page. If it hits, you will be entered into a drawing where you can win free picks from any handicapper of your choice. You get to pick the handicapper, so we're not just like pushing someone onto you. You get to choose who you want, and you get free picks for a week. So make sure you leave your comment on who you think the best bet is for today. Again, it could be anything. First 5 innings, player to go home run, Jaylen Brown, 25 or more points, Milwaukee Bucks, first quarter. Yeah, anything. It could be anything. And then make sure you are registered with us as well, VegasInsider.com. Be sure you leave your best bet, your Vegas ID, so we can identify you. We know who you are and reach out to you. And yeah, good luck there. So let's move on now to the NBA, the association. Some pretty good games yesterday. That Hornets Bucks game was really good, and the Warriors game was really not good. I think Golden State had 29 points in the first half. It was just terrible. All right, let's go through some games. We got Hot Atlanta. They're going to be taking on Philly. It's going to be a tough game for Atlanta to win. Philly, when they're healthy at home, they're pretty much unbeatable. They're they could be the best team in the East when they're fully healthy, which I believe they are tonight. I think you're going to get a dose of Embiid and Ben Simmons tonight. Let's see, the 76ers, yeah, man, they've won 16 of their last 19 games when they are playing as the favorite, which they are tonight. They're a pretty heavy favorite, if I'm not mistaken, tonight. However, the Hawks, they've covered the spread in 6 of 7 games when facing Philadelphia. So you see the -8, that could be a little deceiving there. Ben Simmons to record a double-double at plus 250 is a bit intriguing. He has seen a double-double in 3 straight home games when facing Atlanta. So some bets there to like. With Ben Simmons getting the double-double possibly. Clint Capella, over 14.5 rebounds is plus 102. Clint Capella has seen 15 or more rebounds in 7 of 8 games. Might want to look in that direction as well. But I don't see Philly losing this game. Covering the spread, that's a whole nother story. I think I'd lean Atlanta just because of the high spread. But I think the prop betting here between Ben Simmons and Clint Capella for plus value might be worth consideration as well. Let's go to the Lakers and the Wizards. Now, the Wizards are really on a roll lately. They've been winning a lot of games. I think they've won, 8 of 9? But they're underdogs tonight at home. So, winning 8 of 9, now you're at home against a team that's not fully healthy. Might want to look into the Wizards tonight. Russell Westbrook, over 12.5 rebounds at plus 100 should be considered. Westbrook has seen 13 or more rebounds in 10 of 11 games when Washington is the underdog. Los Angeles, they have failed to cover the spread in 4 straight games. I think there's a lot to like about Washington here, and even if you don't have conviction in the Wizards winning at home tonight, but you still think they'll play okay, you have to believe there are 2 catalysts to that, one being Russell Westbrook. So really look into that rebounding market, over 12.5 at plus 100. Game of possessions, if Washington wins, it's mainly because they get possessions. How do you get possessions? Well, you rebound. Who's their top rebounder? Russell Westbrook. And then you look at Bradley Beal. He'd be the other one to consider, but over 29.5 points at minus 134, a bit expensive, a bit high of a point total. Not sure if I would take that, but Bradley Beal has scored 33 points or more in 3 straight games, so let alone the 29.5. This guy's getting close to 35 a game. So if Washington wins or covers or whatever, it's because one or both of those 2 players really go off. So feel free to go around those 2 and Washington covering a short spread. I do like Washington here. If you like the Lakers, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, over 11.5 points is plus 100. He has scored 13 points or more in 4 straight games when playing in Washington, D.C. Let's keep moving now. We have the Orlando Magic. They are going to be taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Orlando is a road underdog. However, Orlando, they have won 6 straight games when facing Cleveland. I don't think Colin Sexton is playing for Cleveland tonight, so that leads me to you guessed it, a prop bet. A few of them, actually. Darius Garland, he has scored 23 points or more in 4 of his last 5 games. Over 22.5 total points at -113. It's a high total, but he can get it done. -113 is actually pretty inexpensive considering Colin Sexton is not playing. And then C.D. Osman. With Sexton out, look for his assist total. Over 4.5 assists at +125. C.D. Osman has seen 4 more assists in 3 straight games when facing the Orlando Magic. Cleveland has failed to cover the spread in 6 of their last 7 games, and then we just talked about Orlando winning 6 straight games when facing Cleveland. Cleveland is missing one of their better players. Maybe you want to take a chance on Orlando here. Plus value, I kind of like them on the road, +135. They could cover the +3.5. I think they should cover +3.5. You see it's -4 here some places. I'm going to go with Orlando covering in that game. That would be my pick. And I'm going to take a chance on C.D. Osman getting 5 assists in the game for +125. Charlotte, Boston. This is going to be an interesting game. You look at this game, and these two teams are coming off of very difficult losses last night. Charlotte at home, they were down 19. They cut it to 5 against the Bucks. Weren't able to hold on. They ended up losing by 10. The spread was 9, so they ended up not covering. It was a great game, though. P.J. Washington, Devontae Graham. My goodness. I mean, that Bridges, that is an exciting team. It's amazing how good they actually are. They're missing Gordon Hayward, too. They were missing LaMelo Ball last night, and they could have beaten Milwaukee if they had those 2 players available at their disposal. So Charlotte now goes on the road. They take on Boston, who just lost to the Thunder at home. Now, I didn't think Boston would lose, but we did talk about how Boston had failed to cover the spread in whatever the trend was yesterday. And the spread was 11.5, and we said, hit the Thunder. Plus 11.5, that's easy money with Boston failing to cover the spread. I didn't think they'd actually lose the game. They went out and lost the game. So if you like Charlotte, I like Charlotte. I think they're playing really well. They're playing with so much swag right now. Boston, they're playing with a little bit of lack of conviction, you could say. They're playing with almost no self-confidence right now. When you get beat by the Thunder, a team that's lost 14 straight games at home, yeah, it's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. Boston, they've won 8 straight home games against the Hornets, however. So, again, I'm not sold on Boston like I was yesterday. I'm not sold on them losing. I don't know if they're going to cover the spread. 6 points against Charlotte. Boston, they've failed to cover the spread in 8 of 9 games when playing the second game of a back-to-back. So there is issues in Boston covering the spread with no rest. So I would probably look in that regard. I'm telling you, I really liked what I saw out of Charlotte last night. Now, you can maybe look into some prop betting here. Miles Bridges, who's been on a rampage, he got a double-double last night. You can get him double-double for plus value. He has also scored 20 or more points in 3 straight games. P.J. Washington has scored 18 points or more in 5 of his last 6 games, so you could probably get a good price on P.J. Washington for, who knows, they might give him 14.5, 15.5 right there, and you could take that. We're not sure who Boston's going to be sending out on the court for this game because they are coming off a rest. Now, Charlotte, you would think, coming off no rest just like Boston, we're not sure who they're going to be playing either. So I think this is a game that you need to check the lineups before you bet. Be sure you check the lineups for this game. This is a huge game. Boston's now in 6th place of the playoffs. I expect both teams to really try to win this game. Coming off tough losses with the playoffs right around the corner, you need to earn some self-conviction in yourselves. This is a big game, I would argue. And so the fact that both teams did play yesterday, check the lineup before you bet this game. But I don't think Boston covers. That's just me. I don't think they cover. Let's move on now. We got the Bulls and the Knicks. Man, the Knicks have been one of the biggest surprises in all of sports, let alone the NBA. New York, I believe they've won 12 straight home games. Yes, they've won 12 straight home games when playing as the favorite. Now, they had lost at home to Phoenix, but they weren't the favorite in that game. So that tells you New York at home beats teams they should beat. I have a lot of conviction in New York right now. They've covered the spread in 12 of 13 games. So you look at the -4, that's a short number right there, considering I don't think Zach LaVine's playing either for Chicago. Let's look at some player prop bets. Julius Randle to score over 26.5 points has plus value. The man has scored 31 points or more in 6 of 8 games. Take that. What else do we have here? We've got Nerlens Noel. Over 7.5 rebounds plus 100. Nerlens Noel has seen 8 or more rebounds in 6 of 8 games. So a pretty large sample size there. I think that's about it in terms of prop betting. Some of the players, you got some cheap value here. You got RJ Barrett over 17.5 points at minus 113. He scored 19 or more in 7 of 8 home games when favored against the Eastern Conference. You got Nikola Vucevic has scored 24 points or more in 4 straight games when Chicago is the underdog. He's given a line of 22.5 at minus 113. Might be worth looking into as well. I love the Julius Randle over. All he has to do is score 27 points at plus value. That man scored 31 points or more in 6 of 8. So I would go in that direction. How he's not in the MVP consideration really blows my mind. San Antonio, they're going to be taking on Miami. San Antonio on the road has been a pretty good underdog bet. They've actually just been really good on the road in general. Looking at these trends for tonight's game, San Antonio has won 3 straight road games when playing as the underdog. And then you also have San Antonio covering the spread in 7 of their last 8 games when playing on the road. Are there any prop? No good prop trends that I like. I mean, you got DeMar DeRozan over 21.5 points at minus 107. Maybe he's seen 24 points or more in 3 straight road games when San Antonio is the underdog. Other than that, I'm not really feeling any prop bets. So I think this game is San Antonio on the road, go in that direction. Otherwise, just skip it if you have no conviction in the Spurs. New Orleans, Denver. I don't really see how Denver loses this game. They, to me, are clearly the better team of the two, even though New Orleans should be better, but that's a whole nother discussion for another day. We don't have 30 minutes to get into Van Gundy's coaching. Mile High Basketball. Denver, they have won 13 straight home games when playing at night. It's so similar to their hockey team in that town, the Colorado Avalanche, who they win a ton of night games at home. I don't know what it is with Ball Arena, but it certainly caters to the home team at night. It doesn't really matter what sport or league we're talking about. But yeah, so Denver, they've won 13 straight night games at home. I think that's worth taking. What's the money line here? Minus 175. Again, I think odds makers overvalue the Pelicans. Denver could be higher in my mind. They could be somewhere closer to, over 200 if they really wanted to be. But New Orleans, here's what I think odds makers are looking at. They've actually covered the spread in 7 of 8 games when facing Denver as an underdog. And then you look, it's, 4? See, I think something closer to 7, I would be more comfortable with New Orleans. I have no conviction in them at all. For what they've done this year, they should be way better in my mind. So, I don't know. I think I'd go Denver here. Any prop bets on, let's see. Oh, okay, here's one. Brandon Ingram. Over 23.5 points at plus value, plus 100. He has scored 25 points or more in 5 of 6 road games. So, might want to look into that. Here's probably the best. Oh, wow, there's a couple. Wow, there's quite a few. Okay, let's go to the Jokic, who a lot of people think are going to be winning MVP this year. Nikola Jokic has seen 10 or more assists in 7 of 9 home games. You can get him for over 9.5 assists at plus 100. Keep in mind, Murray's out, so he's racking up assist totals left and right. You have Aaron Gordon over 5.5 rebounds. That has to be a joke at plus 125. He has seen 6 or more rebounds in 6 of 9 games. I don't know how you don't jump on that right now. And then you've got Eric Bledsoe. He has to make 2 3-pointers in the game at plus 140. He has made 2 or more 3-pointers in 6 of 8 road games. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of prop betting going on in this game to consider between Denver and New Orleans. But if you have to pick a winner, I'm going Denver in this one. Portland and Memphis. Portland is a bit weird. They're an odd team. I know Indiana killed me yesterday. I told everyone about this great trend I found of Indiana winning 7 of 9 games when Sabonis is out. And they looked good early, and then Portland just beat them without mercy. They just destroyed them. So what do we do in this game? Well, Portland, they have lost 11 straight games when facing a team with a winning record. They now go on the road to a team who's pretty good at home. Memphis, they've covered the spread in 4 straight home games when facing Portland. So there's a couple different ways you can go here with Memphis. You can take them at the minus 1.5. You can take them to win straight up at minus 121. I think the Grizzlies are a fine play here tonight. We'll see if the Blazers burn me in 2 straight nights. We'll see. Prop bets. Not a lot I'm seeing here that I like, so we'll move on to the next game, which is Utah and Sacramento. Is anyone going to be taking Sacramento tonight? If you do, plus 285. I'm not taking them. Utah, look, there's no secret how good Utah is this year. They've won 7 of their last 8 games when playing in Sacramento, so they clearly have no issue going to Sacramento and winning. However, the Kings have covered the spread in 4 straight games when playing as the underdog. And the one thing we always talk about with the Kings is when it rains, it pours with this team. If they're winning games, they're gonna win. They're a Gemini of the NBA. If they're winning games, they're gonna win. They're winning. You can't stop them. They're on a roll. If they're losing games, you're gonna beat them. There's no it's one or the other with this team. It's not they could win then lose then win then lose. No, it's like they're either winning a bunch of games or they're losing a bunch of games. So the fact that Sacramento has covered 4 in a row as the underdog, they're now at home at minus 8.5. I think it's considerable. I do. Keep in mind, they played very well at home against Dallas, a team who is right there in terms of being one of the better teams in the Western Conference. I know they're not on Utah's level, what Utah has achieved this year, but Sacramento at home, and they're in their good form right now. You could say they're Jekyll Hyde, this team. But ride them with their momentum. That's the one thing about the Sacramento Kings. You should ride their momentum. They're one of the more momentous teams in all of sports to take, whether they're losing or winning. And right now they're covering, is what it seems, especially as the underdog in their home. So maybe look into that direction. Prop bets, not really seeing any prop bets I like. I will say Joe Ingles has seen 7 or more assists in 3 of 4 games when starting against Sacramento. He will be starting tonight, I think. Check the lineups. If Joe Ingles is starting, look at the assist market for him. He should get 7 or more assists in this game. We got one more game, right? Yeah, Clippers Suns. This is gonna be a really good game. Paul George he's really been good. He's done some work. He's scored 31 points or more. Let me see what he's doing here. Yep, 32. 32 points or more in 7 of his last 9 games. You can get Paul George over 27.5 points at minus 113. I think that's a steal right there, considering the role he's been on lately. But you can also get, look at this. Over 4.5 assists for Reggie Jackson, plus 136. He has seen 5 or more assists in 3 straight games. Might want to consider that. Chris Paul has scored 20 or more points in 4 or 5 games. He has given minus 107 to score over 16.5 points. Maybe want to consider that as well. Let's get to the actual game itself. Phoenix, they've won 10 of their last 11 home games. And you see they're favored here. I think they should win this game at home, especially since the Clippers are dealing with injuries. Phoenix, they've also covered the spread in 9 of 10 home games when facing a team with a winning record. I'm telling you right now, Phoenix might be a dark horse to win the West. I know it's LA or bust with most people. Denver is not as sexy as they were because they've lost Jamal Murray. There's just no conviction in Utah until they actually do it, until they actually get to the promised land. I mean, even when you had teams with, coached by Jerry Sloan with Deron Williams, these were Utah teams that would go far, even to the Western Conference Finals, but they could just never get to the championship. Even John Stockton, Karl Malone, they never won a title. So it's just this thing with Utah. It's tough to trust them in the West in terms of actually getting to the finals and winning the finals. So I think if you're looking at a dark horse in the West, Phoenix has been the most impressive team. These trends back it up. So yeah, if you like Phoenix, feel free to go with them. I think Paul George is easy money, over 27.5 points. I think Chris Paul should be all right too. But this is a game I think I personally might either take Phoenix or stay away from. If you are going to prop bet this game, though, I know I went over Chris Paul and Paul George here. It could be easy money there. I think I might take a risk on Reggie Jackson. Plus 136 at over 4.5 assists. He's seen 5 or more in 3 straight games. Why not? Why not do it? And he'll see playing time, you would think. But just make sure he is actually active for the game. Again, make sure all these players are active before player prop betting any of these games. Make sure you check the lineup, especially now at a point in the season where coaches are mixing and matching lineups, trying to give players rest for the playoffs, things of that nature. So just be wary of that. All right, let's go to NHL now. But again, we'll remind you to send us your best bet for the day. Give us what you think is going to be a winner. It could be money line, it could be point total, it could be first inning, it could be first set, it could be tennis, it could be soccer. We got Champions League today. So, make sure you really do a good job and explore all markets and get the best bet that you think is going to hit today. And when you figure out your best bet, leave it in the comment box along with your Vegas Insider ID so we can identify you if you win, and you will get you'll get free picks for the week from a handicapper of your choice. But you have to be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. You have to be registered on our VegasInsider.com website. All right, so we got one more sport to tackle. To tackle in depth, I should say. Hockey. Good old hockey. So NHL, we got an early game, 5:30, 5:38. Be exact. Vancouver, they really threw a wrench in the schedule this year, but you know what? They're back to playing games now. They go to Ottawa, who has actually been playing very well. The Senators, you might not know this, but the Senators have been they've been playing really well lately. I think they've won 4 of 6 games or something like that. I'm pulling up the trends right now. We'll see what we got with them. Ottawa at home, though, I think there's a few reasons I do like them. Let's see. Okay, Vancouver has seen the underdog win 4 of their last 5 games. Now, I know the money line here tells you that the game is split, but looking at DraftKings, Vancouver is a slight favorite, so Ottawa is the underdog. You have a trend favoring Ottawa here. Ottawa, they also have won 2 of the last 3 games when facing Vancouver. Vancouver has lost 2 of 3 games to Ottawa, while Ottawa has won 4 of its last 5 games overall. 3 of those 5 games were to Vancouver. So lots to like, I think, about the Senators at home in this game. Let's look at some recent history. Yeah, Ottawa's covered the puck line, plus 1.5 in 4 or 5 meetings against Vancouver. I think there's a lot to like about the Senators at home. They're playing better than the Canucks right now. But I think I would go puck line just to be a little bit safe, plus 1.5. I'm going to go with the Senators in this one. Let's take a look at some goals. We hit on a couple of goal props yesterday for hockey. I know Luke Kunin for the Predators. He was one that we suggested. He hit. Sean Couturier for the Philadelphia Flyers. We suggested him. He hit as well. So let's go through some goal props and see if we can find some money for you guys. Connor Brown. This guy has been on a rampage scoring goals. He has scored a goal in 10 of 14 games for Ottawa. His odds to score a goal are plus 275. I don't know how you don't test that market every single game Ottawa takes the ice. 10 of 14 games he's scored a goal, and he's given odds at plus 275. How do you not take that every single time? And then you have Josh Norris. He scored a goal in 3 straight games, home games when facing the Canucks. He's plus 275. I'm telling you right now, Connor Brown would be my prop goal for every Ottawa game moving forward until the season ends. But that's it. Moving on. That's it for the 5:30 game. Then one of 2 games on NBC Sports Network tonight. Excellent hockey games tonight. The first is St. Louis taking on Minnesota. I know St. Louis has been somewhat of a disappointment this year, while Minnesota has been a little bit of a pleasant surprise this year. It's kind of funny, Caparutz, the rookie for Minnesota, how well he's played. He's really turned Minnesota from a roller coaster team that is above average to a pretty consistently good team now. So let's take a look at some of the trends. We got Minnesota. They've won 13 straight home games when playing as the favorite. Oof. It's tough to go against their minus 150 when you see that. And then I just talked about Kirill Kaprizov for Minnesota. He's a rookie for them. He's probably going to win the Calder Cup, which goes to the best rookie in hockey. He has odds to score a goal at plus 148. He has scored a goal in 5 straight games. He typically scores inside the XL Energy venue as well. Then you got Zach Parise, who scored a goal in 3 straight home games to score a goal at plus 310. So there's some stuff to like there. You go to the Blues. Ryan O'Reilly has a trend. He scored a goal in 2 straight games against the Wild, and he has been given odds to do so at plus 250. In terms of picking a winner here, I do like Minnesota. I think they're the better team. They've just been more consistent, especially at home. Minnesota tends to see home teams win this year. Even when Minnesota is on the road, they tend to see the home team win, regardless of who they're playing. So there's a lot of home trends for Minnesota. They just happen to be at home. They're the favorite. They've won 13 in a row at home when favored. Just more conviction in the Wild, plain and simple. I would go Minnesota. Now, keep in mind, St. Louis has won 2 straight games against Minnesota and 4 of the last 5 against the Wild, but I'm going to lean on my own opinion, thinking that Minnesota is a better team in general. They are now at home and favored, and so I'm going to go Minnesota. The goal total has gone under in 3 of 4 games. Maybe you go under the, what is the goal total, 5.5? Yeah, maybe you go under 5.5 there, but again, I think Kirill Kaprizov the rookie for Minnesota to score a goal at plus 148. Like he scored a goal in 5 straight games. So ride that train until it comes off the tracks. Let's see. We got Toronto and Montreal, pair of Canadian teams. Got a couple Canadian games today, as we even just went over one at 5:30. So let's see. We got Toronto, who is the better team in my mind here, but the Canadians have lost 6 straight games after winning on the road the game prior, so there is a reason to possibly take Toronto here at minus 150 as the road favorite. Mitch Marner to score a goal at plus 185. He's done so in 2 straight games, so maybe if he gets a third one there, that could be a good bet. Let's look at some recent history between these two teams. Toronto's won 2 of the last 3 games played between both teams. Montreal, as the underdog, however, has covered the puck line in 3 of the last 4 games played between these two teams. So maybe go Montreal plus 1.5. I personally think Toronto is the better team. This is a tough one, though. Looking at these trends, looking at the prop bets, the odds aren't even that great. I would want something more in the range of plus 200. I'll take an Austin Matthews goal for what is it, plus 140. But I'm not sure I would take Mitch Marner or even Tyler Toffoli, for that matter, who's been one of the better scorers in the league. Definitely one of the better scorers for Montreal this season. His odds to score a goal are like plus 150 or something like that. I just don't think there's a whole lot of value in this game for a game in which you are essentially splitting hairs. So, I'm passing Toronto-Montreal. I'm not going to take anything in that game. Moving on, another Canadian game. We got the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Should be another great game here. Winnipeg has seen the road team win 6 straight games. That would tell you Edmonton is going to win. Edmonton, to me, is the better team. And then you look at some prop markets. It's hard not to take Connor McDavid at plus 128 to score a goal. He has done so in 3 straight games. And then you look at the Winnipeg Jets. Mark Sheffley has probably been their most consistent scorer for a few years now, especially since Winnipeg traded Patrick Lane. But Mark Sheffley, he has scored a goal in 4 of his last 6 games and has odds to do so at plus 175. So I think you might want to look into those markets for this game. Because, again, you were looking at a matchup between these two teams. They're very even. You're basically splitting hairs when you're picking a winner. So I would probably go into the goal total or the goal prop market for this one. Anytime you can get Connor McDavid for plus value to score a goal, I recommend you take it. Even if he's going up against Collar Hellebuyck, who is one of the better goalies in hockey. Still got to take McDavid. I'm gonna get to the Avalanche, and I'm gonna save them for last because that is without a doubt the game of the entire evening. Let's go to the Ducks and the Kings here. I hate to call them bottom feeding teams, but that's what they are. Going head-to-head in California, the Kings, they've lost 9 straight games in a row after winning the game prior, so they don't really do back-to-backs very well, which is what this game is. The Kings, let's see, they have gone over in 4 straight games played on a Wednesday, however, and you could see overtime in this game, which would more than likely see the game go over. The Kings have won 3 straight games when facing the Ducks. They have also covered the puck line in 3 straight games when facing the Ducks. I know this game, I just said this game could go to overtime, but keep in mind the Kings have won by at least 3 or more goals in the last 3 meetings between them and the Ducks. So although they're telling you the Kings don't win back-to-back games, there's a lot telling you that the Kings should win this game based off head-to-head matchups. Using that knowledge, this is another tough one to pick. Let's see if there's any prop bets I do like. Not really. Might want to avoid this game overall. Let's see if the goal totals are even kinder. Well, the goal total has gone under in 2 straight games played between both teams and 3 of the last 5. So maybe want to look into that. It's tough for me to see the Kings hold the Ducks to 1 or less goals in 4 straight games, though. Maybe you take over 1.5 total goals for Anaheim in this game. Who knows? It's just tough for me to see the Kings stifle the Ducks 4 straight games on offense. We'll see what happens, though. I'm probably going to stay away from this game. 2 more hockey games, and we'll wrap up and get out of here. We have the Arizona Coyotes. They are taking on the San Jose Sharks. What trends do we have for this game? The underdog has won 8 of the last 10 games played inside SAP Center. And of course we look here and we have a split money line, but the underdog is San Jose at home. So if you're going to go off that trend, maybe lean towards the Sharks. I like Phil Kessel to score a goal at plus 160. He's done so in 5 of his last 6 games when facing the Sharks. And then you have Evander Kane at plus 210 to score a goal. He's done so in 2 straight games. So maybe get on him early before he takes off on a on possible 3 straight games scoring a goal. When you look at the head-to-head matchups between these two teams, Arizona's won 3 of their last 4 when facing the Sharks. The goal total has also gone over in 3 of the last 4 games. So I think if you are taking Arizona San Jose, I think you should go over here and possibly take Phil Kessel to score a goal because he's quietly scored a lot of goals this year. He's not doing what he would do in his prime when he was with Pittsburgh or whatnot. He's played with a few different teams. But he's scoring a lot. He's scoring plenty of goals for Arizona, so maybe you want to take that. All right, the last hockey game we got here, this is a big one. Big game on NBC Sports Network, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You have the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. These are the 2 top teams in the West. A lot of people think these are 2 of the top front runners to win the Stanley Cup this year. As you know, the playoffs are really screwy, so you could see these 2 teams in the Stanley Cup this year, which would be insane, but that's the way it is right now. So Colorado, let's see here. Vegas, they've actually won 9 straight games. They're on quite the roll right now. It's hard to bet against them, but it's also hard to bet against Colorado because they're arguably the best team in the NHL. Mark Stone, he has scored a goal in 3 of his last 4 games, has odds to do so at plus 215. And then you have Nazem Kadri, who has odds to score a goal at plus 250. He has done so in 3 of his last 4 games when Colorado is the underdog. Looking at the head-to-head matchups in this, Vegas, they have covered the puck line in 3 of the last 4 games when playing as the underdog. As a matter of fact, the underdog has covered the puck line 1.5 in 4 of the last 5 games played between these 2 teams, and the goal total has gone under in 4 of the last 5 games played between Colorado and Vegas, so maybe look into that regard. I do know Vegas's defense in T-Mobile Arena is difficult to crack, so maybe look into the goal total going under as a possibility. I think that's going to do it. Let's go to the homepage real quick because it took us an hour to get through 3 sports. There's so many more coming up. We have Champions League. That's a big one. PSG and Man City, they're going to be taking the pitch, as they call it in soccer. They're going to be or football. They'll take the pitch at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch that. I believe that'll be on CBS Sports Network, Telemundo, also Univision. I believe has broadcasting rights as well. But check out the preview for Champions League semifinal bet. We got PSG, Man City, should be a great one. We got the Valspar Championship coming up. That is the next golf tournament that will take place tomorrow on Thursday. We've gotten through the Masters Major. We got through the Loopy Zurich Classic, what they call in WWE tag team event. So definitely want to check out those bets as well for your golf and soccer fix. We got all these previews. We got free picks for baseball today. We got game previews for basketball and hockey. The big ones, though, the big events that are coming up. We got the NFL draft that is tomorrow, the first round. So definitely check out the betting preview there. We've got tons of odds, tons of markets, some things you may have never even heard of. It's going to be a fun betting event, though. That's the one thing about the NFL draft is that it's not just who's the first pick, who's the second pick, who's the third pick. You know, you can have fun with the markets here. Which team's going to draft a quarterback? What position they're going to take? There's various markets for this event. So be sure to check it out and get all your betting information from us right there. You got a good picture of Trey Lance. And then the Kentucky Derby, that's the mammoth this weekend. That's the entree, you could say, of the sports betting course this weekend. It's the Kentucky Derby. We've got, the draw came out yesterday, so we've got a breakdown on all 20 horses that will be entered on Saturday. Anthony Stabile has done a great job previewing this. I couldn't be happier with the content for this event. Definitely want to check it out. Get every information, every last bit of data you need because you're betting on animals. So, so I guess, though, we're all animals at the end of it, at the end of the day. So quick reminder, leave your best bet on our YouTube page, but you have to like and be a subscriber to our channel in order to qualify for a week of free handicapper picks. Leave your best bet. Leave your Vegas ID as well. If you don't have one, come here to the website, click this yellow button that says register, and get your Vegas Insider ID. You know, otherwise we're gonna have no idea how to contact you if you win. And you're just sitting there with a winning bet and no free picks for a week. So be sure to do that. Not sure if Kevin will be back tomorrow or not, but again, we are going to be trying a 6 p.m. show to kind of give you a more authentic, I don't even know, just more authenticity with the lines and the odds based off lineups that change throughout the day, injuries, you know, things happen in the day, news breaks, and that does affect game odds sometimes. So we will try that next week, a 6 p.m. show. We'll see how that goes. But for Tom, for Kevin, who's not here, but I will speak on his behalf and say thank you all for tuning in and watching us today, the Daily Insider and the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. Again, please be sure to like, subscribe to our channel, and most importantly, go out there and make some money. Good luck with your bets. Until next time, we'll see you.